G'day guys, this is a big story and I want you to stay with me till the end. And make sure at the end of this, if you're watching this on TR.NEWS or Politicalite, share it. Share it as the article. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to pump it out. Because as we've seen in the last month, the mainstream media is going to ignore this. They are going to protect their friends before exposing the truth. So it's been about a month now since I exposed Jim Jeffries and Comedy Central for the fake news that they are. Their silence has been deafening. And the thousands of you who have either tweeted, mentioned them on Twitter, mentioned them on Facebook, commented, disliked on YouTube. In fact, Conan O'Brien's last video of Jim Jeffries, where he had him last couple of nights ago, has been unbelievable. The reactions are sensational. The fact is that 12,000 people disliked Conan O'Brien's video, and the majority of comments there are talking about what had happened. The funny thing is that was the first video that Jim Jeffries couldn't control the reactions. He couldn't delete the comments because it wasn't his page. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today, because some information has come through which it's taken me a couple of days just to verify. And you know what? My gut was always right. And a lot of you messaged me right after I got deported and insinuated that this sort of behavior may be the reality. But I wasn't willing to believe it until I had some hard evidence. So the information that we have been passed on and since verified is that the head of security of Viacom, the parent company to Comedy Central, in essence, the man in charge of safety and security for Comedy Central and specifically Jim Jeffries, is a man by the name of Carlos Fernandez, ex-special agent Carlos Fernandez. Mr. Fernandez is a 21-year veteran of the FBI, and God bless him for that fact. That is not the issue here. The problem here, the issue that raises all these questions, is that Mr. Carlos Fernandez, Special Agent Carlos Fernandez, was the head of the counterterrorism division of the FBI in New York. This is the same unit that detained and subsequently had me deported from LAX last week. Now, a lot of people, when I was detained and deported, found it weird. In fact, when I walked into the room and the FBI flashed their badges, I jokingly said, Comedy Central. And bizarrely, they responded, no, we're actually a separate entity to Comedy Central. I found that weird, and I've been telling that story all week. And people have pulled it up like, that's odd that they had to point that fact out. Really? We know the FBI is a separate entity. This new development, this new information that has now been verified, and you can see his LinkedIn, you can see the articles in which the FBI themselves on their own website tell us who he is. This new information raises all these questions that Comedy Central has to answer. Until now, they've remained silent. And their silence is absolutely telling. It tells us that they are guilty. But until now, their silence has only told us that they're guilty about producing and publishing fake news. And we all knew that. In fact, the evidence that I publish proves that. So it doesn't matter what they say. But right now, we need to know their communications with the FBI. We need to know who said what. Was this just Mr. Carlos Fernandez calling in some old mates and telling them, hey, listen, I've got a problem. I run the security for Comedy Central and Jim Jeffries here, and there is a man who's coming, who has legitimate issues with Comedy Central and Jim Jeffries. And he's coming here to confront my clients, to legitimately and legally confront my clients. We need you to help me out and stop him. Or was it through the actual processes, the regular processes of the FBI? I've spoken to a few ex-agents, and they've told me that it is a little bit weird. And that it is quite possibly, it looks from the outside, the optics of it, is that Mr. Carlos Fernandez called some old favors in. If that's the case, there is corruption here to be answered for. Make sure to share this around. Let everyone know the truth because the mainstream media will ignore it. Love you all.